Hey guys, this is Christian. Welcome to another live stream episode and another HomeLab Talk Q&A session, whatever you want to call it. But hey, I today managed to find the go live button and I should be live now. So that's hopefully no technical problems. I mean, you can tell me if audio and voice is okay. There's yeah, for some reason last week I forgot to press the go live button and I was like talking to myself for like 10-15 minutes or so until I realized, hey, there were people in the chat mentioning, hey, where are you? So that was quite funny. But hey, yeah, today I managed to get it working, so that's a positive thing to get started with. And yeah, good to see you all. Hope you had a great week and you got some nice and interesting projects you could work on. Honestly, I'm totally exhausted today. So today's work day was really stressful. So I'm totally fine with having a quick live session and talk about some cool tech stuff, because today was mostly all about marketing, presentation, and these are the topics, probably I'm a creative guy, so I like to create videos, I like to create graphics and stuff. I mostly do some of the for the first 2 or 3 years, I did most of the thumbnails all myself, so I really enjoy creative work, but at some point, I need to go technical again, so it's like the last weeks were just purely going through presentations, and it's like it was so great. Marketing, creating lies. That's actually a good point, because some of the marketing guys, they come up with presentations, even if it's just tech diagrams and stuff about products and so on. And I was reviewing a couple of slides they've written, and I was, what the hell? This doesn't make sense at all. So I was basically just going through all of this stuff, trying to make it accurate, until my boss just said, this doesn't sound exciting, so make it more punchy. And then I thought, okay, so then I need to tell lies again. So it's some fight, the balance between the marketing speech, and get everybody excited and it's the best solution ever and blah blah blah, but still be technically accurate. It is a thin line, and it's not easy to find that balance. But yeah, that is enough of the trouble that I currently have at work. It's like I still do some of my HomeLab projects, and there were also some exciting news that we can talk about. So I thought it would be great to just have a second Q&A session and talk about tech stuff and HomeLab stuff, because last time we haven't had enough time to go through all of the exciting things, especially some of the last videos that I published. They raised up some interesting questions around some solutions in my HomeLab. I'm mostly talking about managing containers, so that's probably a topic we might dive into a bit more. And what I also have prepared, what I can talk a little about, is the whole Proxmox terraform automation mess that's currently going on, and some of the solutions that are somewhere on the horizon, so we might have find out where this is going. But just to shed some light on, so what is currently going on, I just realized that a couple of people are having problems with the Terraform Proxmox provider. And I kind of wanted to migrate some of my Terraform files over to my HomeLab repo that I made a video about a couple of weeks. And then I realized, well, the provider is not working. There's an issue. And that got me, into a whole new rabbit hole about maintaining open source projects and some of the issues that come with it, especially managing GitHub repositories if the original owner of the repo might not maintain it anymore, and the guys who are working on it don't have the right privileges to take it on. So this is kind of the short story that's currently happening with the Terraform Proxmox provider. It's there are a couple of guys who are developing this, but it's based on a company or an organizational GitHub account that doesn't seem to be maintained anymore by the organization, and no one is actually able to. Yeah, I mean they're still able to merge some stuff, but it's like I really don't know the details, but they seem to have problems with like permissions and those kind of things, or really change some of the processes, or add more maintainers or contributors who can actually merge PRs into the main branch. I don't know what's going on. But apparently, that has caused some issues, and that is also the reason why there hasn't been much development or fixing bugs or improvements happening in the Terraform Proxmox provider lately. I mean, I'm talking about the Telmate provider, and Telmate is the organizational GitHub account. You probably know it from my video tutorial. And yeah, currently, I joined a Discord with some of the developers of the provider, and I asked them, yeah, please keep me updated about any changes you're planning, because it seems like these guys have a good plan how to move on with the project and fork the code to a repository that is actually maintained and also supported by an organization. So I don't know if I can share some details of it now and what is finalized and whatnot, but apparently there is something, or there are people working on solving this problem and create a fork of this Terraform Proxmox provider in a new GitHub repository. And obviously, those guys also asked me to spread out the word about it. So once it is final, I'm probably going to make another video about Terraform Proxmox, because there's also something that I like to optimize and a couple of things that might have been changed. And then it's like, then I probably will make an updated version of the video that also is a perfect segue into my full automation project. So where I fully want to automate like the whole creation and provisioning process of my VMs on Proxmox with Terraform, GitHub Actions, and Ansible provisioning scripts. So that would be a perfect opportunity once they finalized their plans for the Terraform Proxmox provider and they created this new GitHub repository, to make a new video about, hey, this is how you can totally automate everything with GitHub Actions and Terraform and Ansible and Proxmox, and merge it all together in I don't know, a 1 hour long video. I have no idea how big this project is going to be. But yeah, that's what I'm currently working on. And it will probably take a few more weeks. I'm also waiting on these guys to finalize the providers, and I'm testing a bunch of things here and there. But that is what I'm working towards on. And then once that is ready, I will publish a new video about it somewhere. I mean, probably I could imagine this to be somewhere in April or so. Probably even not earlier, because I have other things to do. But that is on my timeline for April. Yeah, maybe May. We will see. And then it's gonna be a big new video, and I hopefully can lead all those people interested in the videos and update the old link to the new GitHub repository of the Terraform provider. And that's hopefully solving all of our problems, yeah, we have with Terraform and Proxmox. I don't know how many of you are using it, by the way. So have you seen the video? It's already on for a year or so. I don't know how old it is. Maybe it's probably more than half a year old, the video, but it's still one of my most watched videos, if I'm remembered correctly. So it has good engagement. So I'm wondering, how many of you are using Proxmox and Terraform? And if you ran into any issues, well, it's probably because the Telmate provider wasn't updated correctly. But yeah, would be interesting to know. So how many of you are working on it? And yeah. Hoch die Hände, bald ist Wochenende. Endlich Zeit für HomeLab. Yeah, Dreamer, that's absolutely correct. So, for all the German folks in here. Are you going to answer some questions regarding HomeLab? Yes, I am. So please put questions in the chat. We're gonna start the Q&A session if you're ready. I mean, we can talk about other things like Proxmox, Terraform, Podman, containers, those kind of things. We might jump into Podman also later this stream. So these are two topics that I've planned. But yeah, you can basically ask any questions, but I'm probably trying to focus more on those two projects, because this is what I've just recently created content about. So might be interesting to answer some of the stuff here in the chat. Thank you. I fall in love with Docker and HomeLabs. Oh, this is amazing, Eduardo. Awesome. Is it worthwhile utilize Cloud Init for a K0s cluster? Well, good question. I mostly use Cloud Init to pre-provision my virtual machines with like SSH key, IP addresses, those kind of things. You could actually, like with Cloud Init, you can really easily provision new machines. And it's not just, it's like the word Cloud Init might be a bit misleading here, because like Ubuntu or Canonical thought it would be a good idea to call it Cloud Init because it's like for the automatic provisioning of cloud machines. But it is actually, in my understanding, it doesn't have anything to do with cloud. It is just like auto provisioning or something like that. And Cloud Init is just a fancy name they came up with. But it's actually just like installing or automatically installing a Linux machine and pre-provision it with a couple of settings that you want to set up front so you can automate the whole process. So that's what it's really about. And probably it was first used in cloud distributions, or like if you deploy new virtual machines in the cloud, you obviously want to set an IP address or upload an SSH key, because most cloud providers offer that through a graphical user interface. Maybe that's the reason why it was called Cloud Init, but I really don't know. So who knows? Only Proxmox, yeah. It seems like Proxmox is definitely the go-to operating system, or it actually isn't an operating system, but I see it as kind of an operating system, yeah. Like Proxmox is absolutely the go-to standard for HomeLab people who want to run virtual machines. So that's what I definitely found out. Maybe it also has something to do with my videos, who knows? But it seems like many people are using it. And I rarely see any other systems that are used in that way. So maybe like XCP-ng or VMware, but most of the people seem to use Proxmox, and that's pretty cool, yeah? I really like that we have some core technologies that most of the people in a HomeLab use, so I know exactly what I need to talk about. And it's like, Proxmox is one of them, and I would say like TrueNAS for storage, maybe also like containers is definitely, I mean, when I started to create content for containers, I don't know if it was a new thing back then, but it seems like in the recent 2 or 3 years, there have been so much development around containers in HomeLab. This is really crazy and interesting. So people really jumped on that train, and they realized, okay, containers are really simplifying a lot of the stuff that we do in a HomeLab. It's not just for enterprise companies, it's also great in HomeLabs to use containerization, and that's really amazing. How do you establish a suitable volume structure for Docker container in Portainer without relying on a stack? Oh, yeah, good question. I mean, it's like, honestly, I haven't used Portainer for a while. I've completely, like, dropped it from my HomeLab. And I probably will redeploy it again as a community edition, but just as a demo project. So I'm not using it anymore as my production deployment for like container deployment. Because, yeah, for me, it has like, I mean, it's kind of like, but what can I say about Portainer? It's a great project, but honestly, I think like they kind of lost a bit track with their development, and they really focused on the like, I don't know. So how can I say this? I mean, like for us HomeLab people, Portainer was really like 2 years ago, like the go-to standard for like deploying containers, and it's all great. It's a really great open source web UI. It's perfect. And then they came up with the like the business edition. They had this student license that I don't know what was the cost of the student license, but it was about like more than $100. And I thought, whoa, this is quite expensive for a HomeLab. I mean, it's like, I really don't know. So I probably wouldn't buy it, because, I mean, there's the free and open source home version, but they introduced some interesting features for the business version, but that needs to be licensed. And it's like, I thought, well, I don't know if that's the right decision to go. I mean, obviously it is. They want to make money. I can totally agree on it. But it's like, most of the features they developed, they were more in the IoT space. So that's where I think they really have like a strong standing in the IoT business. So that's what I heard from talking to one of those folks from Portainer. And what they basically did is most of the new features they introduced, they kind of fall in line with this. But I think they lost a bit track of like improving some of their core functionalities. I think it always was lacking a bit behind other management UIs, especially for Kubernetes. So this is really like, okay, so Kubernetes, if Portainer wants to be in the Kubernetes space, like if they want to compete with Rancher, they need more features because Rancher does everything you need for Kubernetes. Yeah, you can set all the settings, you have all the options, and Portainer was always falling a bit behind. They introduced some improvements here and there, and that was really cool. But it seems like the development was not right on time. And then I feel like for Docker Compose, it is great. It has great features for GitOps and for managing like multiple machines. Like, it's pretty nice. And then Docch came around. And then was like, so many people were saying in the comments, okay, so I'm switching from Portainer to Docch. And I thought, yeah, it absolutely makes sense because Portainer has had an issue since its earliest development, and that is you can't really manage existing Docker Compose stacks that you have somehow created outside of the tool. And I thought this was a pretty bad limitation, yeah? But it seems like they haven't put much effort into it because it wasn't a common use case for their core business customers. And mostly just HomeLab people were struggling with it. And I thought, well, I just don't like this decision. So I really would love that Portainer does something about it. And yeah, because Docch came around and simply solved it with one of their earliest versions, I thought, yeah, sure, of course, a lot of people are going to switch from Portainer to Docch. Absolutely understandable. But it's like, well, we will see. We will see what Portainer will do. I mean, I really don't know if they care so much about the open source and HomeLab community anymore. I really don't know. We will see. I mean, I will definitely follow this project because I like Portainer. These are great guys working there, and I also like their tool. It just, for me, it didn't really solve a real issue I had. So that's why I probably dropped using it. And then we will see. By the way, Docch is somewhere in the same space because honestly, Docch, it's great, but it's not really solving a major issue I have in my HomeLab. That is probably yeah. And yeah, Docch is just a terrible name. I have no idea who came up with Docch and thought this would be a great name for our project. I have no idea if it was the main developer or somebody else. It's just like a terrible name. You really don't know how to pronounce it. And I'm sure I've done it all wrong. But yeah, who knows? Probably you can't change it afterward anymore. I don't know. But it's like really, Docch, come on. You could have come up with something more like easy to pronounce or easy to remember. I just say Docch. I don't care what other people are pronouncing it, to be honest, yeah. Don't bother me with pronouncing stuff. I always pronounce things wrong. And honestly, I don't care about this. So when I read comments about my like I kind of got used to pronouncing Ubuntu because it's very similar to how you pronounce it in German. In German, you would say Ubuntu. But for some reason, I watched a couple of videos and people were always pronouncing it Ubuntu. And I kind of like adjusted that. Yeah, I kind of like got used to it, and then I pronounced it Ubuntu for quite some time. And I can't tell you how many comments I got. It's not pronounced that way. You need to pronounce it Ubuntu, blah, 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 blah. And you get like, okay, well, that's kind of nice to know when you read it the first time. Okay, yeah, cool. But when you read it like 10, 20 times under your video, you're getting upset about it. Just saying, yeah, I know, just off, yeah. I pronounce it the way I like it, and I don't care about this. Same is for SQL, or some people call it SQL, or I don't know, or kubectl. Some people call it kubectl. I said this just sounds weird for me, so I'm not pronouncing it that way. And whoever like want to tell me if it's wrong, I don't care. The way you say it is correct. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, again, If not, then, well, you need to live with it. You need to live with a lot of mistakes I'm probably making. So, unless it's not technically incorrect, because, I mean, when I get feedback, some people saying, well, this is technically wrong. I'm taking a lot of care about this. So this is where you got my interest, yeah? So when a comment says, for example, hey, Christian, in your video, it's not that way. Yeah, so for example, you made a mistake here and there. Like, for example, I say something like, RAID Z1 is when you stripe two hard drives together. This is called RAID Z1, something like that, yeah? And somebody is commenting, Christian, that is completely stupid. This is wrong. So then I'm all about, okay, really? So I look it up and, okay, so this is something technically wrong. I should correct it. Or even take it out of the video if it's possible. But if it's just for the sake of, hey, you pronounced something wrong, or, oh, yeah, you covered Ubuntu, but I don't like Ubuntu. CentOS is better, or Debian is better, or something. So I don't take care of those comments, to be honest. It's like, come on. Yeah, but anyway, I don't want to talk too much about comments, and that's a whole different topic. But you can probably imagine you get a lot of crap on the YouTube comments, even though it has become better. But you obviously, like, if you're making videos that get a lot of views from not our core community, so not from you guys, but from people who don't know the channel, so this is the first time they see my content, you definitely can tell there are a lot of more critical comments always. So I can definitely see, I can really see it, when I just look at the comments, I can see, oh, this video is working well, because I got a lot of shit comments. So then I know, oh, the video was successful because it was shown to a lot of people that are new to the channel. It's crazy. Have you tried Unraid? That's a good question. I have tried Unraid a couple of years ago, and to be honest, I didn't like it so much because of the weird, like, deployment that you need to somehow format a USB drive, and then you need to buy a license, and then it's somehow weird. I just don't like the way of putting the OS on a USB stick. And I don't know if that's just me, because I've had once a setup with VMware E6i, and one of the customers wanted to put that on a USB drive, and I said, why the hell? I mean, it's like, I don't see a reason why I should do anything like this. It's just creating a bunch of problems. It's like the USB stick is then broken, or people use cheap USB sticks that don't work anymore, and then it's like, why? Just put it on an SSD. It's gonna be fine. I don't know. Maybe that was back in those years ago. I don't know if Unraid is no different, or if they have a different way of installing their OS without USB stick. But for me, that felt wrong. And another big problem I had was with the file system, the XF. Is that S? I even can't remember the name of the file system. It's something with XFS or something like that. And I got a problem with that at some day. Maybe because I messed up. So I don't want to say like Unraid is unreliable or something like that. It was probably a stupid mistake from my side. But because I got problems with that, I never really wanted to try it out again. So it's like, it's really stupid, yeah? You got the same shit with people saying like, oh, Windows is bad because I once had a problem with Windows Update. And that's because Windows is bad. Yeah, well, okay, sure. I mean, that's what I'm just saying, yeah? So don't take my bad experience as an advice to not use Unraid. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just explaining, so this is why I haven't invested more time into it. But it's like, and honestly, yeah, I'm so happy with Proxmox, and it's just like, why the hell is it inserting an ad right now? I don't know. So for some people, if you're seeing an ad, I'm sorry. It's just the default setting on YouTube. I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So honestly, yeah, Proxmox is so great. It just works so well for me that I don't have any intention to use a different system. And it's mostly just yeah. Sometimes I'm interested in trying out new things, although I have a working solution. But in this case, no. Yeah, it's like Kremlin. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is a setting, and I messed up with removing it. So it might be you can blame me. But it's YouTube really wants us to show ads in live streams, which I think is honestly a bad idea. What I think I think YouTube could show ads once you watch the recording, but not during the live streams. But as far as I know, I haven't found a setting to actually enable monetization right after the live stream. So I just turn it on and then it's showing live ads during the live stream, which is kind of annoying. I don't know. I probably need to drill in more into that topic. So I'm sorry if you've seen an ad. But hey, this is a perfect segue to, if you want to watch my videos without ads, you have two options. The first option is you buy YouTube Premium, which is, by the way, not bad. I own YouTube Premium myself because I don't want my son to be distracted by shady scam ads that he shouldn't see on YouTube. So that's why I buy YouTube Premium. But if that's a bit too expensive for you, then take a look at my Patreon page, because I recently started uploading all of my videos I publish here on YouTube on Patreon as well. But on Patreon, you don't need to, you don't see ads. You just need to support me. So you need to buy or give me money on Patreon as a donation, so then you get access to this. But it's like, well, that would be amazing if you could do that, because I'm like publishing all of the free content that I'm creating on YouTube, on Patreon, and it's really like a good way to support a creator. So check out the Patreon website. That would be amazing. And I'm planning to publish a lot more courses, a lot more like write-ups and benefits for the members in the community. I even started designing merch stuff. So that's really, I know, I probably shouldn't disclose it right now because I have nothing to show. But it's like I've said to the person who is doing the thumbnails right now, a few weeks ago, he started working on the thumbnails, and I asked them, hey, can you create some cool merch for us HomeLab nerds? Yeah, something like that. And it would be great. And it will be part of the Patreon program, as like if you're, I need to decide, but it's probably for all of the members who are like 3 months or 6 months. Yeah, probably 6 months or so. You can pick a present. If you're like 6 months in the Patreon program as a member, you can pick a present and you get like a shirt or a hoodie or whatever. I'm trying to find like a good balance so that it really helps you guys, or it's like something like in return. So thanks for supporting the community. And yeah, so I'm still working on the design for this, but I really would love to create something about like home labs or so. So when you like wearing the hoodie or wearing the shirt somewhere, and you see the word like home lab or something, like people should immediately recognize, okay, so this guy is a crazy nerd. It's a crazy dude, yeah. So that's my idea for creating some merch. Yeah, it should be cool. It shouldn't be just a logo with my face or something like that. Like, it's gonna be cheap. But if it's like a cool like, yeah, HomeLab shirt or HomeLab hoodie, or then it will be interesting. So I hope to reveal it like in a couple of weeks. So once the graphic designer came up with something that actually satisfied me. Because honestly, I tried this like 2 times before, and I went on Fiverr, and I can just tell you guys, Fiverr is the worst. I mean, I found some good guys on Fiverr, but mostly it's just crap. I just booked like I think I invested like 50 euros. And said, hey, for 50 euros, I want a t-shirt design for like techies in HomeLab. And what this guy came back with was, hey, I could have done that myself in Photoshop in 5 minutes. So that's not what I wanted. I wanted something cool. I wanted a new idea that I couldn't come up with myself. And I tried that like 2 times. And it was never like, I didn't want to go the cheap route and just design something like, hey, Christian Lemper, and put that on a shirt. That's so stupid, right? So I just wanted a cool idea. So something that is looking good. And I just realized, well, I probably need to come up with the inspiration. I probably need to at least come up with defining how I want it. The execution, I don't want to do myself, but at least I need to give these guys an idea. Because Otherwise, they don't really know what to do. And yes, because someone is putting like a doll E in the chat. I tried that too. The AI also comes up with crap, so forget it. You need to find the right guy who's actually executing it the way you like it. And yeah, so I think I found a pretty good guy with designing the thumbnails, because the thumbnails are, I think the thumbnails I really like. It's really great, and he does it exactly in the way I want them to be, so it's perfect. And I just talked to this guy and said, hey, can you do t-shirt or hoodie design too? And let's see if he comes up with something cool. So hopefully, yeah, that will be part of the Patreon program. And by the way, yeah, I'm talking too much about the Patreon program, but don't worry, I'm gonna be finished. But if you don't want to support me with money, if you don't want to pay, you can still join the Patreon program as a free member, and you get some updates when I release something else. So you get at least notified. You don't get all the benefits, of course. Yeah, I want to make it attractive for people to support me, but at least you have the ability to join it for free. So yeah, just take a look. Okay, awesome. Let's go back to tech topics, yeah. But I think this is like, I mean, this is what the community is about. Like, in any news about this, I should probably share here, so why not? Okay, cool. Yeah, let me just read through some of the stuff, but because I completely lost track of some of the questions. Do you think Docker Swarm is still relevant? Do you see a need for something between single Docker host and Kubernetes? Honestly, I don't. And I think you probably could disagree. I mean, there is maybe a reason for using Docker Swarm. But honestly, if you can go directly to Kubernetes, I think Kubernetes is far superior than Docker Swarm, at least as I've heard. So I think like there's no real need. If you have a Kubernetes cluster, then just deploy it there. Don't bother about Docker Swarm. But if you don't want to use Kubernetes, you want something similar but maybe not so complicated, well, then Docker Swarm might be okay. But I think if you already have Kubernetes, there's not a reason to look at it. In fact, I'm only here for Ansible Semaphore. Oh my gosh. I think this is also what I pronounced wrong. Is it? Let's go on with this topic. What about Ansible versus using Docker Swarm? Look, this is something entirely different. I wouldn't compare those two solutions. Like, Docker Swarm is something entirely different. At least in Doge, stack files are in a folder version. Oh yeah, I forgot to say about this. Well, I probably will use Doge myself as a production system when it supports GitOps. So then I probably will use it. Maybe not for all projects, because I still love the flexibility with GitHub Actions, but for some projects I might try it out. But yeah, that's a feature. I assume these guys are working on it, some GitOps feature, because this has really been requested by a lot of people, as far as I understand. For a beginner, they want to get in containers. Would you recommend Docker or Podman? Well, that's a simple question. Go watch my last video about Podman. It's gonna have the answer in it, so you need to watch until the end. But I tell you my opinion about this at the end of the video, so make sure you watch the Podman video until the end. So yeah, I always try to have something at least valuable or some opinion inside my videos, because I feel like, yeah, it's not just a run through the graphical UI of Podman, yeah? As some people say it would be, but no. I also try to answer the question why. Should you use it or should you not use it? For a beginner, that was a question. Hey, I used your DNS video to set up my own local zone. Do you use Pi-hole filtering ads? No, I don't use Pi-hole myself, for the simple reason that I'm a creator and I am primarily paid by ads. So it kind of feels wrong to block ads myself, but requesting the money from you guys watching ads. It feels wrong to me, so I'm just gonna be part of the system and watch ads. I really don't care so much about it, so I'm not using Pi-hole. But maybe I would love to deploy it for testing and maybe make a video about it, so that probably would be on my... It's not on my priority list currently, but maybe in the future I will do that. But it's not like... I personally, I probably wouldn't use it myself. How much do you use Ansible? Learning how to translate bash commands into Ansible. How do you approach this? Well, that's a good question. I mean, there are two approaches to this. If you have a bash script, you can easily use Ansible to just execute it using SSH, which is kind of the wrong way. So I would not do it this way. It's probably the easiest way to use Ansible for just executing shell scripts over SSH. But I think the better solution to this would be to use Ansible modules, to use Ansible functions to actually, have a better management over this. Because if you just execute a shell script, you don't really know if these settings are already applied or not. So Ansible itself, if you're using the modules, it has some parts of checking if this is already existing, and then it doesn't need to change it. So that's probably the way why I would always try to retranslate any shell scripts and see if I can do it with Ansible modules or Ansible functions. So then you got a better management of which changes you have already applied and which not. That's not possible in shell scripts as far as I know. So that's why I think that would be my approach, to really put in the work and find out how you can write this in Ansible using its modules and not just execute shell commands. It's kind of like a cheap road. Okay, so hey Christian, enjoy your content. Wondering if you're interested in security platforms, and have you tried Wazoo? I haven't tried it yet, but it's definitely on my plan. And there will be so I will start with trying it out, and if it's good, I will probably ask them to sponsor one or two of the videos. And if it's a good relationship, if I'm excited about the solution, and so I might do a dedicated video on it at some point. Why not? I think this is pretty great. It has caught my attention. So Wazoo is definitely something on my list. I haven't done it yet, but I definitely want to do that. So let me go and read through some of this stuff. So I'm almost at the end, I suppose. Let's go deep in Nextcloud and Home Assistant. Yeah. Also, another project on my list. You can see this list is going bigger and bigger, coming bigger and bigger. It's like I got too much stuff on my plate, and I try to prioritize it. And Nextcloud and Home Assistant is currently not the highest item on that list, because Home Assistant is just working fine in my setup, and I still have one use case that I'd like to do with Home Assistant, and that is using or integrating an RFID, like an RFIO. So this radio frequency gateway, so I can actually I can learn the radio signal commands from a what is that called? I don't know what this thing you hold in your hands and click a button and then it's turning on a light. I don't know what this word is called currently. But you can actually buy a gateway that can learn those signals and reproduce them. And I want to integrate that in Home Assistant, because then you can integrate a lot of cheap RGB devices that just work without a Wi-Fi or Zigbee protocol. They just have radio frequency. And once I've done the floor in down here in the living room, and I needed to change the floor on a stair. And that was quite, oh my gosh. So that was really, I've done it myself. So I'm not just techie. I can also do some some homework stuff. But it's that worked pretty well. And I thought it would be a great idea to add an RGB, not RGB, but I don't know how these things are called, but it is COB. So these chip on board lights, these light stripes. I think they're called COBs. And these COBs, I've put on the two sides of the stair, so it illuminates like the stairs, and it looks so cool. I'm pretty proud of that work. But the problem I have is I need to turn that on with radio signal, so it doesn't have like a Wi-Fi connection, because these were these cheap COBs. But what I can do is I bought a gateway to actually learn those signals and reproduce them. And I just need to find out how to integrate that in Home Assistant, because that means I can turn it on with voice control. I can turn it on from my phone and those things. That would be amazing. So that's a project I'm currently, like, I have on my list. I still somewhere, maybe in the summer or so. I don't really know. So when I come to this, but that's definitely one thing that a pretty great use case I have in mind for Home Assistant. That would be awesome. And I definitely want to try out Nextcloud again, just to try it out and see how it works. But yeah, we'll see. And no, Nix OS, yeah. Still another item on my list. Never gotten into it. So you can definitely see there's just too much stuff in tech. By the way, this leads me into an idea I have. I think at some point I need to make a video about how to learn IT skills effectively. I don't know what you think about it, but in the past I had done quite some videos about like IT career tips or something like that. I know I don't want to become a channel that teaches people how to get in IT, but actually part of this is like my mission, right? And I want to do some videos about like showing you some tips and sharing the experience that I gathered over the recent years, especially like when you look at me, just a stupid guy who failed terribly at school. Luckily, I became an IT support technician, and I walked my way up. So I'm currently working as a tech account manager in a cybersecurity company, and working with the big companies like Microsoft, Google. Those are really the customers in our department that I'm working on. And this has been like a crazy like shift from being like a complete noob to like working in an international team, like speaking like English 99% of the time at work, and like working with these guys and talking to product managers, talking to developers, reviewing stupid marketing presentations, those kind of things that I do. And I think like it would be awesome to just share some tips I have and how I learn new stuff, how I prioritize my projects and items and stuff. So I thought, yeah, let's do a video. But because I see this as a big problem in IT and tech in general. Like, we have too much stuff to do. We have so many technologies. No one can actually learn them all. And you need to somehow pick. Yeah, you need to carefully pick what you invest your time and effort into learning. Because yeah, that's really like if you're not managing this effectively, you're never going to complete the projects. You're never achieving the goals that you want to reach. And like, I think for HomeLab projects, it's actually the same. Like, if I think like my HomeLab, if I would approach it the same way and implement the same tips that I do for project management, I could be so much more effective. I need to somehow prioritize my projects. So do I invest the time into learning Unraid? For example, I just said, like, Unraid, for example, is something I never would prioritize because I already have a working solution. It's kind of just like it's a very similar system. It's not teaching me anything new than Proxmox did. So that's why I don't prioritize Unraid, for example. But I would prioritize Podman over Docker, because you could probably make the same argument. Why bother with Podman? Because I already have Docker. It's kind of the similar solution. But Podman is a different direction. It uses a different kind of architecture, and this teaches you something new. So that's why I invest my time into like learning Podman instead of Unraid, because you could like, and those are kind of the decisions you always need to make. And I think this is like part of like the experience that I got is in identifying, so what are the skills that are more relevant in the IT industry than others. And I think you always got like, also when you read most of these questions on YouTube comments, people are asking about, so what tools do you use? Do you use Portainer, or do you use Dorch? Do you use Docker? Do you use Podman? Those questions are completely irrelevant. Yeah, it's like asking you, do you use a hammer or a wrench? Or do you drive a Volkswagen, or do you drive a Mercedes. It doesn't matter. You just need to get from A to B. And the question is not, so what car you're driving to get from A to B? So do you take the correct route? do you drive effectively? Do you drive securely and safely? And so on. If you try to make kind of the shift back to IT, this also means like the decisions that you make, that kind of matter. And the time you put into, you need to put the effort and your time. You need to value that carefully, because IT is too complex, it's too big, and we like with AI, I'm pretty sure it's getting worse. So we are having more technologies, more trends that are fast changing, and you need to somehow find out. So how do you actually invest your time the most meaningful way? Same as in HomeLab, and that's why I thought it would be great to make like a video, see what people's reaction is, and maybe do occasionally some of those IT career tips videos. Probably not like, it's not the main focus of the channel, but it's definitely one thing that I feel is valuable, especially if I can somehow combine that with learning HomeLab topics and so on, because a lot of the people are asking like, so how do you learn this? How do you learn that? And it's kind of like, well, it depends, yeah. But sharing the tips that people can find their own way, I think this is much more valuable than just come up with a plan. So I don't want to give you the plan. I want to teach you how you make your own plan. So that's what these videos are about. So expect to see some experimenting with something, yeah, with those videos. Okay, well, I kind of need to keep up with the questions. The bird at IT Dad, hey, good morning. It's actually in the evening for me, but hey, good evening. Good to see you here, bro. You're doing amazing videos and work, by the way. So watched some of them. Okay, so what else do I got? I am Cat. Hi, Christian. Thanks for the video tutorials. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for watching them. I mean, it's like, I'm only doing it because it's you enjoy watching them, and I feel it helps somebody. So it's amazing. What do you use to? Oh, I got a notification from YouTube. Ads will run shortly for some viewers in 50 seconds, so I'm gonna skip ads. God, YouTube. How about a comparison of Podman and Kubernetes? That's actually not a good comparison. You would actually more compare like something like OpenShift to Kubernetes, or maybe like a specific implementation of Kubernetes with OpenShift. I really don't know, but it's like Podman and Kubernetes serve an entirely different like thing. So it's a solution to a different like topic. So what do you use to access your HomeLab services from outside the home network? Pretty good question. I have a simple answer for you. I don't. Because I never go outside. And honestly, this sounds like a terrible joke, but it actually isn't. So I barely travel somewhere. And when I travel, I want to enjoy time with family. And I shut down all of my HomeLab stuff when I'm traveling. So it's like, I never have the actual use case to connect to my HomeLab. For no reason. So really, no. I've really tried to come up with a situation that I could transform into a video, but I actually don't have this problem. So I never really need to access my HomeLab from outside. And this obviously simplifies a lot of the things, but still, I don't want to say that I don't take care of it, because I also covered a lot of remote access solutions, and this is also part of like network security, what is my main profession. So I'm kind of interested in this topic, at least, even though I don't use it myself. But if I would use it, these are the solutions that I would use. So that's how to frame the video, yeah? And that's why I covered in the past like Teleport or WireGuard, Tailscale. We covered TwinGate, for example, which is zero trust. I'm actually more interested in instead of VPNs, but yeah, it is what it is. And expect to join another one. Will join the party pretty soon. It's NetBird, so I'm in contact with these guys, and this is great company. I can just tell you from the first like chat I had with the CEO of NetBird. So It's really awesome. And they have a great solution for remote access. So I definitely would take a look at this. And yeah, I also will do. So I'm currently trying to deploy like a demo project. And there will be a tutorial about Network at some point. But yeah, you need to wait until March, probably. Yeah, because I need to do some other topics first. But that's going to be like one of the topics that I want to cover about remote access. And it's really like a topic that I think is really important to cover. But as a general recommendation, I can definitely tell you, if you don't need to access your home lab from outside, that's the best thing. And if you really need some services, well, you should implement at least some secure technologies. You should never just create a DNet rule that forwards like a port to your Nextcloud instance. So don't do that. I mean, you could, but it's not the most secure thing. So at least you want to have some kind of reverse proxy in front of that actually does some scanning. And if you got like a zero trust access service, much better. So yeah, that's what I can tell you about it. I was thinking of trying out AWX instead of Semaphore. Yeah, I also thought about it. I won't try out AWX. It's just too complex. It's nothing that makes sense for me. And once I read some of their documentation about, hey, you can deploy AWX, but it has this and this and that and requirement XYZ and problem blah blah blah. I'm not really thrilled about trying that out, to be honest, because it doesn't really solve a real issue I have. So Semaphore is totally fine for most HomeLab people. So why bother with AWX? So. It's not that an interesting solution for me, to be honest. So I probably will just keep using Semaphore and skip AWX for sake of making it easier for us. Any more videos on Sofos for HomeLab? I'm sorry, I know I promised you some, and I probably could easily create some videos, but honestly, I'm currently not that excited about it right now because there are like the problem I currently have is, and this is a real problem. Like I was talking to some guy who asked me, "Hey, why don't you cover more Sophos technologies on your YouTube channel?" Because I'm working for Sophos, so it would be pretty easy for me to get information about it. But the main problem I have with this is like the YouTube thing. It's my hobby. It's my baby. Yeah, and Sophos is work. So, and I don't like to, like, of course, there's always some overlap, yeah, here and there. But I really don't, I like to be that separate, yeah, for the simple reason that I don't want to, I have stuff for work to do, I have stuff for my home lab to do, and those two things have, like, really few overlaps. And this is kind of sad, I know, but most of the stuff that I do for Sophos is not about XG. Yeah, XG is what I used to work with in tech support, but I'm not in tech support anymore. Like the last 3 years, I moved over to like the OEM division, and XG in OEM is kind of like not the main core product. And it's kind of like most of the technologies that I'm working with is like purely API driven. It's only licensed for enterprise customers. Like, so there is nothing like a community edition or thing to easily get started with these solutions. It's like you need to invest a 50 or 100 grand to actually get access to some of those evaluations. So this is nothing like I would be thrilled about bothering you with. The other opportunity would be to do some conceptual videos, like about cybersecurity, but then I'm the wrong channel for it. So it's like, that is like the thing that holds me back from doing it, because if I would start making videos about like EDR, MDR, or like URL scanning, I mean, I've recently worked with a pretty nice technology that is an AI-based URL scanning technology. So this is like we developed a tool that basically takes a URL string and it will give you a score based on an AI that will try to confirm if it's malicious or not. So it even doesn't scan the URL, it doesn't look it up, it just looks at the string and it can pretty accurately detect if it's malicious or not. So that's pretty exciting, really cool technology, but I'm the wrong channel to somehow cover it. And the next thing is also, I'm really a bit afraid of if somebody from work is watching this and I'm saying something in the video that is not 100% accurate. I mean, if you're just talking about a solution you're not affiliated with, no one is gonna bother. Yeah, so for example, if I'm saying like stupid things about Canonical, well, Canonical can come to me and say, hey, you said something wrong. And I said, yeah, what the hell? I don't care. So it's not really like, it doesn't have consequences. But if you can imagine, and I'm making a tutorial about like Sofos, or I'm saying like, or URL AI scanning solution, and I'm saying like something wrong, I don't know what will happen, what will be the consequences for. I just don't want that to be an issue. So it's kind of like, I made the decision, so just keep it separate, right? So just YouTube will be my baby, it's my hobby, it's my home lab, it's cool, and Sofos is its work, yeah, and it's okay, it's totally fine. So I'm not like advocating against Sofos or anything here on the channel, but it's like I don't want to be most of the content be around that. So that's, yeah. That's the thing. Also, Sofos is not paying me anything for making these videos. Just joking, but yeah. It is what it is. So it probably, I'm not saying like I won't make any videos about Sofos technologies anymore, but it's not like on the main priority. I also, yeah, that's kind of the reason. I think you got the point. I see that many creators like you use mainly Ubiquiti Unify hardware. I met UDM Pro. Yeah, Unify is definitely something I want to have a look at, because yeah, that's my home lab, that's my project, my hobby project. So there will be some content around Unify, but yeah, we will see. Maybe it's gonna be the next video, who knows? The word you're looking for is remote. Oh yeah, thanks, mate. We are kind of like on a completely different topic now, but yeah, thanks. Yeah, I now remember it is a remote. Oh man, I'm so stupid sometimes, but sometimes I just can't find the right words. Okay, so let's take a look at some of this stuff. Thanks for all the tutorials and videos. Thank you so much for watching them. Hank, that's amazing. Is ZimaBot a worthwhile choice for OpenSense Firewall in your opinion? I would say yes. I mean, like the requirements for OpenSense Firewall are kind of like simple. You just need to have 2 ports and x86. And ZimaBot does it all. And ZimaBot is running just without any issues in my home lab. So it's running 24/7. I don't bother it. It never gets too hot. It never has any problems. So ZimaBot is kind of a pretty reliable solution. It's totally understandable. XG is much better than XG immo. Yeah, don't get me started with that fight, XG versus SG. It's like, it's going on forever, and it's like, you know, if you want to hear some background information about it, I barely touched SG as a Sofos support engineer. So I was always in the XG support team, and I was there since the version 15 of XG, which was the first version. Once it was like moved over from what was the company called? The Indian company that the original project was called. I can't remember it anymore. It's too long ago. But yeah, I supported like the first version of Sofos XG and needed to work on support tickets from customers. So don't tell me it's I lost most of my hair. But it's honestly, and that's my real opinion, man. Because I'm not affiliated with XG as project anymore, but I can say XG, it's today it's a mature solution. It's come to it took a long way, but it is now, I think it is the better solution than SG, to be honest, because it has a lot of underlying components that are like easier to maintain in software development, and it's easier to integrate new features and so forth. So the architecture is like kind of like made a bit more sense. It took a long time, the developers, to actually bring it on the same level as SG, but I think today it definitely is. So that's my opinion. Do you have a preference between traffic and NPM? Yes, I do. Watch my video why you should not use Nginx Proxy Manager. Watch this video, then it will tell you. And no, I have not utilized like Raspberry Pi 5, but I can tell. Where is it? I need to get up. I just bought one. But don't expect to see any videos with it in the near future, because I don't know what to do with it. It's like I just bought it, and it took like 2 months or so for delivery. And yeah, no, I got it, and I forgot why I bought it. It just took too long to get to me, the Raspberry Pi. It's like, oh my gosh. I really don't know. I bought it for a reason, but I can't remember why. So it's like, I need to find out what I can do with it. But maybe I will probably make like something like a comparison video between this thing and the Zima Blade or something like that. So that would be a cool video. But also, please don't expect that to see in the near future. So I have so many other projects. So maybe April, May, somewhere around that. So and I know then it's out of trend, but it's out of trend anyway, so I don't bother. So that's for the Raspberry Pi. Everybody's talking about Prometheus and Grafana in Kubernetes, but nobody about application logs. I wouldn't say that everybody's talking about Prometheus and Grafana, not about logging. I mean, that's something entirely different. You need to have both. Like, I think it would be a great video to make metrics versus logs. And that could be like a 1-minute short, probably. What are logs? What are metrics? Because like most people just mix them up and they don't really know. So what the hell is the difference between metrics and logs? Even some professionals don't really know the difference sometimes. But it's really like, I think it could be like a good short, but it could also be part of a video topic, maybe about logging. I don't know. So definitely another topic on the list that I never have time for. But it's like, it would be an interesting topic because I think like this is so valuable. It is so important to actually centralize logs, centralize metrics, and that also falls in the same category as centralizing security incident and event management, CM. Which is also like, this is where Wazoo probably comes into play. So there are like 3 main pillars that need to be covered at some day on the channel. This is like CM, security incident and event management. It is centralized logging. Like, I don't know if it's an Elk stack or Greylog, or probably I will look for the Grafana solution. So the Grafana log solution, whatever it is. And logging metrics, Metrics, Prometheus, and Grafana. And that needs some rework because I think the biggest problem I currently have with Prometheus and Grafana is the secure authentication of these metrics. Because currently, it's just a simple like crawler from Prometheus, like a simple log, right? Loki, Grafana Loki. Thank you, Keith. That's absolutely right. So, because currently it's just pulling metrics over HTTPS, so it's like encrypted with a certificate, but it's not authenticated. So just every client in the network could just get these metrics from my servers. I thought, well, the old tutorial didn't have any kind of authentication between those solutions, so I think there really needs to be an update video at some point how to securely collect metrics with Prometheus from various sources. And it can be a solution with certificate authentication, maybe, like integrate the authentication process into the SSL certificates. Or it has something different, like an API token. I currently don't know what type of solutions it has. I really want to look at it. But then we have to cover those 3 things at some day. And it's probably also like, I don't know, somewhere in the far future, but that would be really nice to have it. I would like to start local domains using with DNS mask. Would this be a good choice, or do you recommend another DNS server? Honestly, but I didn't look at too many DNS servers. I just tried out Bind. Bind9 is a DNS server. I already made a video about it, so you might want to have a look with Bind. I also made a video about how to automate the DNS entries with Terraform. So use infrastructure as code to publish new entries onto the Bind server with a secure authentication, all of this. So it's pretty great video. So if you want to use that, you can watch my tutorials. If not, well, DNS mask, I can't say anything about it. Some people recommended Power DNS in the comments of those videos as well. But I haven't tried it out. And honestly, DNS server is kind of a pretty, like, not exciting solution. It's kind of like the good old stuff, but it's not gonna be the fancy and cool new technology. So I'm kind of like, this is like bind is running fine for me, so I'm probably not going to change it. Okay, great. So unfortunately, I don't have time for more questions. But I think like next week, I'm gonna prepare something different. So maybe we do, I don't know. I don't know if it's time again for HomeLab reaction video. Maybe not. Maybe give it a few weeks. But it's like, I come up with something. So maybe I do a video and we make another Q&A about the topic of the video. We will see. So I hope you join next week again. So expect to see a weekly live stream on Thursday at this time. And if you have missed it, you can always watch the recording from the beginning. So I hope to make it a bit more like structured with preparing some topics and things we can talk about. And I know we haven't gotten into Podman today. I actually wanted to do that, but maybe that could be the topic for next week. Maybe we talk about Podman and containers and stuff. Let me prepare something. Okay, guys, so I need to jump, spend some time with family, and relax after a stressful, crazy day. And I hope to see you next week again. Tuesday, then a video, or Thursday, next live stream. And if you want to have a chat about any of those questions that I couldn't cover today, put them in the Discord. So join the Discord, join the community, check out the Patreon program, support me if you want to support these live streams and all the free videos. That would be amazing. And I wish you a good one. Take care, and I see you next week. Bye-bye.